First question comes from Juan. Juan writes, "Yo, a question I have for the next Q&A. What's the real deal of reissues being spread out into 2, sometimes 3 vinyls? Are they ripping us off, or is it about better sound? What is the truth?" Juan, here is the truth, or at least my interpretation of the truth. A regular old 12-inch LP that runs at 33 RPM can hold, ideally, a maximum of around 40 to 45 minutes of music, or around 20 to 22 minutes of music per side. Anything over that, and fidelity and volume starts to take a hit, and so does the bottom end. Back in the 70s and 80s, artists, record producers, record labels all knew this, and that's why most albums had a runtime of around 40 minutes, because that could fit easily on a single LP. Now fast forward to the compact disc era, and a CD can hold much more music. It can hold 70 to 75 minutes of music. And again, artists and labels and producers knew this. So throughout the 90s, the average runtime of an album increased. A lot of my CDs from the 90s have runtimes of around 60 minutes, if not more. And that was fine for the time, but then fast forward again to the vinyl revival and this demand to have those 90s albums reissued on vinyl. The only problem is you can't fit 60 minutes of music on one vinyl record. Or you can, but it's not going to sound great. So the workaround for that is to take that single album and spread it over, say, 3 sides, right? With the 4th side being etchings. I'm not crazy about those side 4 etchings, but it's a topic for a different day. So that's generally the reason why single LPs or albums that were released as single discs, particularly in the 90s and early 2000s, are now being reissued on multiple records, right? It's for sound quality. Generally, I always say generally, because of course, record labels love to spread albums over multiple discs because they can charge more and make more money, right? It helps boost their bottom line. Are all the double LPs in my collection warranted? Could some of them have been pressed on a single disc? Yeah, probably. I can see why some people find this annoying for sure. What do you think? Let me know in the comments. All right, 33ers, are you looking for high quality record storage options? If so, let me tell you about Sidetracked Workshop, the sponsor of today's video. The record storage cabinets from Sidetracked Workshop are the real deal. I'm talking high quality, all wood construction, handcrafted in the USA. This is not flat packed, bolt together furniture. These cabinets come to you fully assembled and shipping is free in the US. Showcase your vinyl in style, 33ers. Head over to sidetrackedworkshop.com to learn more. And when you're ready to buy, use code channel33 for a 10% discount. Now back to the video. This next question comes from Keith. Keith wrote, "When did you realize that listening to vinyl and collecting was something you wanted to pursue? In other words, how is vinyl collecting similar or different to other hobbies and interests?" Good question. I'm not sure if this is anything I've ever consciously thought about before. Like, did I ever sit down and say, I want to start collecting? I don't know if I did. I think it just goes back to the fact that I grew up with physical media. As a teenager in the 80s, if I wanted an album, I had to go out and buy the record or the cassette or tape it off a friend if I wanted to listen to it. So I guess I think I've always had that mentality. Not that I don't like streaming. I stream quite a bit as well, but I do have that love for physical media, and I think I probably always have. I mean, I also collect movies, not to the same extent as music, but I also do collect movies. That said, probably 15 years ago, if I think about this, I did make a conscious decision to go and buy all those records I wanted as a teenager, but couldn't afford at the time on my $12 a month allowance or whatever. So I guess there was some conscious decision making that went into it. But the way I look at it is physical media is something I've always done and probably will continue to use and appreciate for some time. Well, this next question kind of bookends that last one. Well, this comes from Karabi Crew, and he writes, do you see yourself in 10 to 15 years still having all your records and CDs in your collection, or will you start to sell off some of the collection? This is something I have actually given some thought to as I look ahead to retirement, because I want to retire ideally at 63, which is in 12 years. And my wife and I want to travel, knock on wood, as long as we're in good health. And at that point, I guess I probably, if we're on the road for like 6 months a year, I probably won't be listening to as many records as I do nowadays. And when you retire, I mean, there's the whole prospect of downsizing a smaller house. Will I have room for my entire collection? I don't know. So for years now, I have purged my collection. I once a year trim off the fat and get rid of records I don't want. And that keeps my record collection kind of leanish and kind of meanish. So I can kind of continue doing that over the years. And maybe as I get closer to retirement, maybe get a little more aggressive in selling off the albums I don't listen to regularly, but I think I'll always maintain a core collection of albums I love and I couldn't part with. So yeah, to answer your question, I don't think I'll have all my records in 10 to 15 years, but I think I will always maintain a core collection of my favorite music. All right, I recently bought a WIM Mini and connected it to my external DAC. I have nearly 400 records and 100 CDs. I love having physical media and enjoy nothing more than putting a record on and chilling while reading a book. Amen, brother. Goes on to say, I subscribed to Tidal to try out high-res music streaming through the WIM. I was surprised how good it sounded. It rivaled my best sounding CDs, if not better. What are your thoughts on high-res digital music? P.S. I'll never give up on my records. As we've talked about, I won't give up on my records either, but I have fully embraced high-resolution streaming, and I'm not shy to admit it. I was hesitant at first, though, but I got into high-resolution music streaming like 4 or 5 years ago. I bought a Blue Sound Node streamer for my stereo here, and upstairs on my other system, I have a WIM amp. And high-resolution music streaming, to my ears, sounds fantastic. Often does sound better than compact discs. You also can't replace the convenience of having access to pretty much any album in the world in the palm of your hand. So yeah, I do love high-resolution music streaming, and I encourage people, if you're at all interested, just to try it out, because speaking for myself anyway, I was quite surprised at how good it is. And yeah, it's not going to replace ever my record collection, but it's another avenue I have for listening to music. So yeah. All right, Tom Fergus writes, do you ever check out BandCamp and buy music found there? Yes, 100%. I love BandCamp. BandCamp is an online marketplace for mostly independent or small artists to sell their music directly to their fans, their customers, and I like to think anyway that they get a bigger chunk of the profit by selling that way. I'll show you some examples of albums I found on BandCamp over the years that I really dig. This one was recommended to me, Michael Caine and the Morning Afters. This was described to me as Springsteen punk. It's like rock and roll, punk, street punk, maybe some folk elements to it. And I love the personal touches that the artists provide. Like this one came signed. It came with a coaster, it came with a signed photo, it came with a personalized note. I mean, the artists connecting the artists in that way just means a lot to me. And I love supporting bands in that way. Here's another artist I found on BandCamp. This is Mike Plume Band. Mike Plume lives in Alberta, Canada, and this music is kind of like Canadian East Coast folk meets country, meets rock and roll. And again, bought it from BandCamp. It came signed. When you buy albums through BandCamp, you can often just message the artist directly. I think it's a great way to discover music and to support artists. So BandCamp is pretty awesome. All right, this question comes from Graham. Graham writes, when you started the YouTube channel, what was your honest expectation on the number of followers at the beginning? Now it's 74K. What episode was the most viewed, liked? Man, timing this question is actually really good because I started doing these videos almost exactly 10 years ago. I posted my first video, I think it's like October 30th or 31st, 2014. And that first video is talking about Halloween-themed albums, good albums to listen to around Halloween. And at the time, I was too shy to do a video by myself, so I had my friend Javier do it with me, and I thought it was a lot of fun. Javier knows more about music than I probably do. And if we lived closer together, I would still have him on, but we moved cities and we lived like 800 miles apart. But in terms of expectations, I had zero expectations, man. If I had gotten 100 subscribers, I would have been happy. I never dreamed of getting 1,000, now approaching 75,000. That never never even occurred to me, man. I just did it to have fun, to have an outlet, to talk about music, and to keep me occupied. Never in my wildest dreams did I think that 10 years later I would still be doing this. That sounds pretty crazy. Second part of Graham's question. Now at 74K, what episode was the most viewed and liked? I did not know. I had to look this up. But when I did, I was quite surprised. There's 2 episodes I've done that have over 500,000 views each, which is bananas. One is this one, and 10 album covers that were banned and some deserved it. I have to admit the topic and the thumbnail were designed as clickbait, but a lot of people seem to have dug that video, and I really like doing it. And the second most popular one, or one of the other popular ones, is the one titled, Is the IKEA Record Player Any Good? That also has over 500,000 views. And that one, I had no expectations. I was generally curious about the IKEA record player, so I picked one up and reviewed it. And I guess a lot of other people are interested because that video also did really well. So, Graham, thank you for the question. And this one comes from Richard. He writes, I know you play guitar, Frank. Have you ever thought about starting a dad garage band with some friends? It would be fun to see some jamming. Yes, I have, Richard. And yes, I tried when I moved back to my hometown, because we moved away. We moved out west for 12 years. One of the first things I did when I came back here is to call some of my old jam buddies to see if we could get something going again. And we briefly did. We were jamming in my garage like once a week, and then COVID came and things fell apart. And then after COVID, it was difficult to line up people's schedules, and we live far apart, and all these other factors came in. So that kind of fell apart, but that is definitely something I would like to try again at one point down the road. So Richard, if it happens, I will report back. All right, 33ers, how would you have responded to the questions in today's video? Let me know in the comments below. As always, thank you for watching. I appreciate your time. Have a great week. I'll be back soon. Until then, keep on spinning.